Kia ora and welcome to another Wellbeing Wednesday where I am going to offer you some EFT and some hand reflexology to deal with a particular issue. So this week I'm going to be looking at that little chatterbox that can go on in our head when we're maybe trying to change a habit. And for the purposes of this session, I'm just going to focus on maybe when we're trying to change to a healthier eating plan. And it can be quite hard because, we make a conscious decision, we're not going to do this, we are going to do this, we're going to make healthier options, and then we suddenly find ourselves in the middle of a biscuit. And it's because while we know in our head what we want to do, and we've set this goal, instinctually, our body's still used to having those biscuits, and it's almost like it's going through a grieving process, and so it's kind of grabbing subconsciously or going for things subconsciously or making us think things, and consciously we don't want to do that, but our body is kind of calling in all the guns to get what it wants. And so I just thought today we'd kind of focus on that little chatterbox in our heads that can sometimes sabotage what we're trying to do. And it's not because we're dumb or stupid or lack willpower. It's because, physically we've used whatever it is as part of our daily routine as a coping mechanism sometimes. And it's worked for us on some level to this point. And so change, can be difficult. We like things to be the same. As a species, we like things to be the same. We don't like change. Change may be dangerous. So sometimes that little chatterbox can be, about a craving where we're thinking about a particular food all the time. It can also be kind of overthinking things. So we stress ourselves out by saying, oh, no, I can't eat until this time. Or no, I've got to stop eating at that time. Or how much should I give myself? Or when should I eat? Or where should I eat? And we start to stress ourselves out a bit. And when we're stressed, obviously, our energy is not in our digestive system. And so we're not achieving what we actually want to achieve. So we're going to work on that little chatterbox. And then we're going to do some hand reflexology to help support that. So just thinking about those times when you have wanted to change a healthy habit, and maybe you're in the middle of that now. And then just rate on a scale from 0 to 10 how much you encounter that, obsessive thinking, really, either about a food item that you want or about the rules that you've got to adhere by, or sometimes, the things that you need to ensure are in place or things that you need to make sure are out. So if you think about all of that and the level of frustration that you have where 10 is, it's constant. You've constantly got that chatterbox talking to you, obsessing about food or items or your diet, and 0 where there's nothing. So for me, whenever I change things, I'm usually at about an 8 or a 9 because I constantly think, oh, okay, what should I eat for lunch? Oh no, I've got to make it healthy. Oh no, I'll just wait a little bit longer and things like that. So I'm quite high when it comes to eating. So we're just going to start off. Remember, the number's just subjective. It's just what comes first into your mind, just to give us a fair idea. We're going to start off on that karate chop. And if you just follow along with me, remember, the more specific you can make your terminology and your words to your situation, to your language, the more beneficial the tapping will be for you. Likewise, if English isn't your first language, then even saying it in your first language can make a bigger impact. So, even though I have these thoughts about food and my eating, I love and accept myself. Even though I have all these thoughts throughout the day about my eating, what I'm eating, how I'm eating, and sometimes they can get obsessive, I love and accept myself and how I feel. Even though I have all these thoughts around food, about what I should eat, when I should eat, how much I should eat, where I should eat, I love and accept myself and how I feel, and maybe anyone else who's involved. So we'll just go to the eyebrow. All these obsessive thoughts about food and eating. Side of the eye. All these thoughts about food and eating. Under the eye. All these thoughts. Under the nose. All these thoughts that start to stress me out sometimes. Under the mouth. All these thoughts. Questions I can't answer. collarbone. All these thoughts about what I'm going to eat, how I'm going to eat, when I'm going to eat, about the right foods, the wrong foods. And it starts to stress me out. Under the arm, all these obsessive thoughts about food and my eating. Top of the head, all these thoughts I have about food. And then take a deep breath. And then rate yourself again on that scale from 0 to 10, where 10 is high emotion and that chatterbox is constantly going, and 0 is you don't have any kind of discussion. You can think about food as fuel, and you only think about food when you are hungry, which, if you can, man, please tell me the secret, because I know my chatterbox goes 10 to the dozen. So from here, you can either alternate with the hand reflexology that I'm about to show you, or continue on with the tapping for a few more rounds until you get that level at least down to sort of a 3. We want to aim with our tapping to keep going until all the emotions out, until we get down to a 0. And if other things pop into your head, maybe issues about self-worth or your willpower, they're called aspects. And so that's actually another tapping topic you can start on. So it can be quite good just to jot those down, and you can come back and tap on that at a later time. If you feel compelled to change your tapping to that, though, please just follow what's going on in your head. Sometimes that can be good too. All right. So bearing in mind your own well-being when you are tapping, though, if emotion does come up. But we're going to start with our hand reflexology. So we're just going to do a little bit of a warm-up. I'll show you with one hand. So just flexing back and forth, just warming that hand up. I've been good. I've remembered to take off my rings. Then we're going to rotate both of our hands. I'm just showing you one for ease, just to warm them up a bit. And then we're going to do that like a hug. So I've got all black on today. I'm just going to squeeze down the hand. So starting at the elbow and squeezing over to the hand. And then we can squeeze from the bottom, just so we've got that hole. And if you like, you can go from the shoulder. I'm just going to go from the elbow today. Right, so because we're talking about a lot of stuff that's up in our head, of course, we're going to start with our heads and relax. And this is called the finger boogie. So we're going to put our finger and thumb from the other hand on each side of the nail bed, and we're kind of just going to rock it like this. So it's that kind of movement. Now I'm holding my hands up so that you can see, but ideally if you've got a pillow and you can put it on your lap and maybe relax your hand a little bit more, will be all the more restful and help bring you into balance, connect you into your body. So just going to do that finger boogie. And as I was saying, sometimes habits take a while to adjust, and we can get there in our head faster than our body can. So this is just a way of connecting into the body and acknowledging that it's, maybe grieving and missing a bit of that sugar or a bit of that fat that we used to have. So we're just going to stroke down the fingers right down on all sides, just a couple of slides down, side and back. And this is working our head and our necks. That's what the fingers relate to, the reflexes. And the other one going down. So I haven't put any hand lotion or oil on, but you can to help this glide a little bit more and make it all the more relaxing. Also, I'm just doing a couple of strokes on each area, but obviously you can spend longer on each area, especially if one bit feels very good. Okay, now we're just going to work into these head areas. So this is the whole tip of the finger and thumbs down to that first join, the first line that you see. And I'm just doing a rotating motion, but you can just slide up and down if you want to. And remember, it's front and back too, and those sides, so you can get the whole fingertip. Remembering to breathe as you're doing this and help that relaxation come in. The more we're in that calmer state of being, the more we can digest, the better our decision making is, and the easier it will be to create healthy changes. Just rubbing those fingertips. And now we're going to go to the diaphragm line here. Remember, this is just where the hand kind of bends. Now it does go all the way over to here, but for the purposes of this video, I'm just going to work across here. So you can slide across with your thumb or your fingers, or you can even bend into it if you want to. Keep your fingers there and just bend into it. It can feel quite nice. And the other side, a few strokes across. Your pressure should be that it's comfortable for you and it's not too tickly. At the same time, you don't want to inflict pain on yourself. So just finding that the right pressure for you. And we'll just bend down on it. And so we are going to work the chest area. So this is this bony metacarpal head that's between the bottom of the fingers and that diaphragm line. And I'm just going to go circular motions around. So I'm working the chest area because sometimes when we're stressed or we're uptight or anxious, we can sometimes restrict our breathing because we're sort of getting ready for action, whether we know it or not, we're getting uptight. So just in working this chest area, it just helps us to relax and to breathe a little bit better, letting more oxygen into our system, allowing us to think a bit clearer. And of course, there are the back of the reflexes. So if you want to just rub across, the reflexes go all the way through, front and back. Then I'm just going to do the nervous system, which runs along our spine reflex, which is from, if you imagine this is our head, starts here and it comes all the way down to the heel of the hand. So I'm just going to stroke along here. So this is our spine. The two hands together make the whole body. So I'm stroking my left hand here, which relates to the sort of the left hand side of my spine, I suppose, if it was split that way. But down our spine is our nervous system as well. And so we just want to calm that down. And often when we're in a calmer space, that chatterbox slows down. So we're going to stroke across there. And then the good old adrenals, we're going to get those in, just milking a little bit. And we're actually, the stomach reflex is actually pretty close to those adrenals. So if we slip in 2 fingers, just milking, after we've done 1, we're sort of going to hit on that stomach a little bit more. So we'll start off with 1, just to get those adrenals. Continuing with the breathing, and then just slip in 2. And then we're just going to do a really general, because the hand's small and to pinpoint the specific areas can be a little bit tricky. But if we imagine this our diaphragm line, which relates to where our diaphragm line is, kind of across our, under our rib cage, and down here is kind of our hip area. The rest of this is our abdomen, really. So we're going to go in a clockwise motion, just going around and working. So this is kind of working all of those digestive organs, stomach, and then small intestines, large intestines. We're going to go clockwise because that's how the digestive system works. Oops, go clockwise. May not look clockwise to you, so hopefully listen to what I'm saying, not do what I do. Isn't it that old adage? Do as I say, not as I do. Clockwise, so that's just calming that bit there. And then we're just going to give our arms a little hug down again, just to help that relaxation, top and bottom. I'm going to put our hands together just to relax and take a few deep breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth, relaxing the shoulders. In through the nose, out through the mouth. So from here, you can either go back to the EFT tapping and become more specific about maybe what that voice is saying. You know, it may be that you've got cravings versus lots of thoughts about how much you should eat, like portion control. So maybe be more specific with that, try and get your number down, come back, do some hand reflexology to help kind of balance, connect you back into that body, because ultimately that's what can happen as we start to get up in our head rather than being connected to our whole body and understanding that physically we're going through a bit of a grieving process of not having those foods that we used to have and enjoy. So if you've got any comments, good, bad, or otherwise, I'd love to hear them, because I'm always open to improving these little Wellbeing Wednesdays for you. If you've got any other ideas or issues that you'd like me to create a video on, I'd love to hear those too. Feel free to visit my site, www.becominghealthy.co.nz, where there's lots of free tapping guides and also hand reflexology guides. And otherwise, have a fantastic week, and I will see you next week for another Wellbeing Wednesday.